All right, welcome back, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We live? Yeah, we're looking good. All right. It's game time. What's up, guys? Mets, man. What an abysmal end to the season, huh, Chef? My God. Baseball's that sport that I don't mind Yankees or Mets, man. I'm not diehard. So I know it sounds I know it may sound a little bit bandwagon-ish, but yeah, New York baseball, I'm happy with Mets or Yankees, so I get to choose. I guess that's the liberty. That's the liberty that I get, Chef, because I don't care. It sucks. I'd rather see the Mets, but I'll take the Yanks. I'll take the Yanks. You can't hate on the Yanks, man. If you're a New Yorker and you hate on the Yankees, I don't know how you could do that. But yeah, what abysmal Giants, baby. Come on. This is the first and last time you're going to see me happy about the New York Giants today. What a game. Felt wow. It felt different. Finally. Against the 3-0 Chargers team. Unbelievable. Also, if you guys are in the Insiders Fantasy League, you guys know who to watch out for, man. You guys know who to watch out for. Scored 162 yesterday, going to be 4-0 in the league. Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Puka Nacua, James Cook, Metcalf, Hawkinson. Who let me get this team? DeAndre Swift. Who let me have this team? Looking good. Is that a real candle in the Q's? Let me see. Hold on. No, it was not. Just a little glitch candle on TUS, it looks like. All right. Well, it's Monday. It's time to get back to work. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It was a nice weekend for some sports. We got F1 coming this week, so that was fun. That was relaxing. Enjoyed it. Did some cleaning around the house. Did some cooking. Just nice weekend reset. I hope you guys are taking advantage of those. It's very important to how we step into the new week and sort of have that clear mind and ready to get back on the gas and find some new opportunities. Definitely a nice move overnight this morning, or overnight into this morning, to the upside. Big gap up on the market as we speak. Nice hold yesterday, and I'm going to show you guys the key holds that happened on Friday that facilitated this upside move. We talked about it on our Friday recap, obviously, with the mentorship group and Sunday prep. But there's a very key thing that happened Friday and today. This was actually where I was able to flip my day back to the green on a long off 66.80 on the ES. This was a very, very key reclaim Friday intraday over 66.80 on the ES. This was exactly what we talked about on the live stream. Hopefully you guys saw that 66.80 reclaim and how it facilitated the upside that we're currently getting on the market. This was really clear. A little bit choppy on the intraday, but it sure as hell was nice. A little bit later day on that reclaim, and that is definitely a big reason to why we're seeing upside come in this morning. We are up into a major rejection point. Major. Right there. Right at that Q600 spot. So we're definitely going to be talking about that Q600 spot today. We also need to remember right here, see this? We're on a big gap up, right? And what is typically the best trade in a gap up? It is the gap fill and then the gap fill long, right? We can either look to trade the gap fill to the downside, or we could wait for that gap fill to find our long opportunity. So today, I'm going to be really, really patient. I'm going to do my best, right? Because sometimes it's a little bit hard when you're seeing some nice opportunities out of the gates, right? I think we have to do our best to be waiting for that gap to get filled before we find some long opportunities on this market. I think that would be a very key pullback, a very key retest, and a very key gap fill to be watching out for today. So as of right now, that's sort of where my mind's at. Now, of course, the intraday trade will always, give us some more insight. It's Monday morning. It's the new week. We can't just try to guess what's going to happen every day. But I think we can create a thesis, and my thesis today is to look for the gap fill. I think this is very important today. I don't think you want to be stuck longing on this gap up and then getting, drawdown and maybe taking a loss. When you pull back to that gap fill level, that's the area you want to try to stay patient. So I'll show you guys what I'm watching today for this. Hopefully this helps you build your game plan today. If you guys could, please press that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And let's do it. Let's hope the mic works. Let's hope everything works here. It looks like we're good to go. It's Tay Money. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, Tay. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for supporting the live stream, as always. And we are good to get started. So, today, let me get some lights on me. I think we're good. All right. Let's start with the economic calendar. We don't really have anything on the earnings. Earnings season has come to a close, basically, so nothing really to report on that side. But here on the economic calendar, I can show you guys right here. Let me make sure it's all pulled up right. Yep. So we got a lot of talking heads, right? A lot of talking heads today. FOMC members. We got Trump speaking today. This is new. This just popped on here. Israel Prime Minister. Ooh, okay. All right, that's somewhat of something to be careful of there. That's a little 115 decent. He's talking to someone that's pretty important to be paying attention to. So, all right, 115. Mr. Trump, President Trump, speaking to Israel Prime Minister Benjamin. Let me see if I can pronounce this. Netanyahu. So, anyways, sorry about that. Let's pay attention to that at 1:15 today. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. More talking heads. More talking heads. More talking heads. More talking heads. Tomorrow, home price index. Nothing too important. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Jolts. Watch out for that. Jolts 10 o'clock tomorrow. Wednesday, non-farm manufacturing PMI. Thursday, unemployment claims. That's normal. Friday, average hourly earnings, non-farm unemployment rate. So nothing, no CPIs, no PPIs, no FOMCs, but definitely some things to be watching. So just keep that economic calendar up as you trade today. I would just say a little bit cautious around that new pending home sales, 10 o'clock, and then a little bit cautious around that 1:15 Trump speaking news there. Okay? Just be a little bit cautious around those time frames. I think it could be a nice day to wait for that 10 o'clock data to come out, which would also probably let you be a little bit patient for the first 30 minutes to see if that gap fill starts to develop. Okay? All right. So let's get started. S&P 500 futures. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're dealing with today. All right. So on Friday, there was a very key thing that happened, like I just discussed with you guys. The key thing that happened on Friday was right here. It was the reclaim of Wednesday's lows. This was massive. This was your time axis. I don't know exactly where that is, margin, but that's my settings. All right. I've never had a single problem with that, so that's, I'm not going to change anything there. All right. S&P 500. So Wednesday's lows, 66.80, right? That was that Wednesday low. That was also these lows here, 66.80, 66.80, 66.80. 66.80 was also the rejection from Thursday, right? 66.80, that was your Wednesday hold. 66.80 was your Thursday rejection. And take a look at what 66.80 did intraday on Friday. It was quite beautiful. Look at that. Right there. 66.80. Right there. Break. Hold intraday. Holding above the intraday rejection points. Right here. Right here. Right here. We had a 10 o'clock failure. 10:30 failure. 11:30 failure. And right here around 12:30, 1 o'clock, you saw the ES build back above 66.80, which was exactly what the market needed to start to facilitate the upside move. Now, this is just a ridiculous zombie grind to the upside, basically just a systematic grind, which is going to leave behind a major gap on the charts, right? So, where am I looking for this market to pull back to today? I think the one and only spot that really, really gets interesting to me is right here. If we could pull back to that 6,700, 6,705, come back down to the Friday high a day, come back down to this overnight rejection from Wednesday into Thursday, come back down to that Tuesday low, come back down to that Monday low, right? Come back down and test that Monday low, that Tuesday low, that Wednesday rejection, that Friday high a day. If we could come back down and look at that, right, and get a test of that level, that would be awesome. This would be the A+ opportunity that I would be looking for today for that gap fill long. That would be such a beautiful thing to happen. Does it happen? I don't know. If it does, that is definitely something I am paying attention to. I would love to see that. Just make sure you understand that that is definitely, in my eyes, the number one opportunity of the day. So once again, the market has squeezed higher. It has gapped up into this rejection point, this rejection point. If you pull back and fill this gap up and you pull back to the Friday high, the Wednesday overnight high, the Tuesday lows, and the Monday lows, that would be, for me, the A+ opportunity to look for on a pullback, gap fill, and long opportunity. So let's see if it happens. All right, that's the thesis for now. We'll see if that happens. Margin, I'll check on that later. So definitely watching that, keeping an eye on that spot today. That would be incredible. So if that doesn't happen, all right, maybe let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say this market just rockets straight to the upside. No retest, no gap fill, just gap and go. Market's ready to just fire straight away, and we don't get this pullback, right? If we don't get that pullback, then you are going to have to look to see if the market can maintain above this Wednesday rejection here. Right there. Right? That's the spot. That's right here between this Friday high and this Wednesday high. If we maintain above that, that was the head and shoulder, right? Left and right shoulder there. This was your left shoulder. This was your right shoulder. If you just maintain above that today, and you have no sign of rejection, and this thing's just holding, then you're going to go higher, right? And you're going to leave behind a pretty big gap right there. So that's going to be something to be aware of. I would prefer if we did this for the health of the market, for the health of this move, right? Not to get too frothy. But if the market just says, hey, I'm ready to go, then holding above this Friday and Wednesday high is just going to keep us higher and probably push us up into this low at 67.45 and possibly up into the all-time high again. Just like that. Just like that off the daily 20 SMA. And if we look at this daily chart, that is just another incredible daily 20 SMA long. Nuts, right? All that downside, right back into the daily 20. Daily 20 just says nope. And if we go back to all-time highs, what an opportunity. Once again, that was right there. Just like it was the entire last, 6 months. I mean, look at this thing over the last 6 months. Just every single time, daily 20. Bam. 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 bam, bam. A little bit of drama there, but bam, back above. Bam, bam. And maybe another bam, right? Like, what's his name? Emilio? Is that his name? Was his name Emilio? No. Emerald. Emerald? Bam. Is it Emerald or Emilio? Emilio! What movie's that from? Who can tell me what movie that's from? Emilio! Tell me. I hope someone knows that movie, man. Anyways, maybe I'm too, well, there's some older folks in here. I know you know that movie. Anyways, pullback long, 6705, 6700, Emerald, right? Over 6730, you continue higher. 6745, 6756. Okay, next. Comfort knows. Night at the Roxbury, man. What a movie. That's my favorite movie ever. What a soundtrack in that movie. All right. SPY. So, what did the SPY do on Friday? On Friday, the SPY reclaimed 660. Right here. See this low? See this Wednesday low? Around that 659, 67, 660? Take a look at the intraday on Friday at this level. Look at this. Perfect. Highs, 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 lows. Awesome. Break, retest, long. Awesome move for Friday intraday. That's what facilitated the upside move. You are now on a gap up. All right. So the gap up fills back here at 662, 662.39. That would be, once again, my favorite pullback long spot of the day. That would be a pullback to Tuesday's lows, Monday's low area, this Wednesday overnight rejection, the Friday high a day. If you can get one of these and one of these, that would be the A+ long that I'd be watching for right here, right? That would be special. Can we get the pullback to 662, 662.40, the Friday high a day, the Wednesday overnight high, the Tuesday low, the gap fill? That would be A+ opportunity. Now, does the market want to do that? I can't say for sure, right? This thing might just want to rip. And if it does want to rip, it's going to hold over this Wednesday high, right? This Wednesday high and this Friday high around 664.50 to 665. If this market just sort of holds up inside this zone today and we don't give up that 664.55 and we just say, nope, I'm going higher, then you're going to leave behind this gap, right? You don't have to necessarily get the gap fill. It would be nice to be a little bit more trustworthy in the upside, but it is not a necessity. To the upside, 666, that's a little bit of a sketchy level that we're rejecting this morning for multiple reasons. And then above that, 667.34. So I would prefer, this long here just doesn't feel as, sexy as this long here, right? It just doesn't feel as trustworthy. So let's be a little bit careful into that 666. Of course, the all-time high, 667.34. You've extended yourself quite a bit on a gap up. Let's get this to be super confident today. We shall see. Now, if you fail back under Friday's highs, guys, this is, this is something you need to know. Obviously, I would hope you do know this, but if you fail back under Friday's highs today, that is no bueno, okay? That's no bueno. You must hold Friday's highs at this point. You fail back under that Friday high, you are back losing this structure, okay? So that is a must hold now on the market for bulls. Nasdaq futures, same exact concepts, right? Nasdaq futures reclaimed this low here at 24,627 to the 24,655 on Friday. It was a beautiful reclaim back above that zone. You can see right here, previous highs, previous highs. Look at the reclaim, look at the break and retest long. That was beautiful. Now look where you're up into today. You are without a doubt up into a major, major rejection point. You can see it right on your charts. Look, rejection, rejection, all right? Left shoulder, right shoulder. Look where you're trading into. You're right at it. So what would be the great thing to see today? In my opinion, a pullback to either this Thursday high at 24,816, but I think even more interesting would be a pullback to this Tuesday low and this Friday high, right in between this zone right here. Come back down to that 800, 780, 750 area, right down in here. Retest Friday's highs, retest this Tuesday low, retest that Monday low, come back down to that Wednesday rejection area and that Wednesday high, and give me that retest long, the gap fill long, back between that 800 and 750 zone. It's a little bit of a zone right now. I don't have it perfect. It's somewhere in here. It's going to be a little bit sloppy, right, because it's the Nasdaq. That's how it always is. But it's somewhere back at these lows, this high, and Friday's highs. Somewhere in there is where I'd be looking. Now, if this Nasdaq just says, no, sir, I'm going higher, that would be a break and hold over 913. If you break and hold over this high right here at 913.50, I don't see much holding this thing back from all-time highs. If you clear out this high, I don't think you're going to see this area here slow this move down. So if this market just says, nope, I'm not gap filling, I am rocketing off out of the open, and if we see a rocket out of the open pull back and maintain this high, and you start to see this intraday, and you're probably headed towards that 25K again. So this area is very interesting. I would prefer the pullback long on a gap fill, but that does not mean that we're going to get it for sure. Okay, QQQ, same exact thing. Monday lows, Tuesday's lows, Wednesday's overnight high, Friday high a day. This would be your gap fill long at 597. That would be the thing I'd look for. Fill the gap, come back down to Friday highs, turn that into new lows, retest in long, right off that level, run me back up to 603, right, on a nice structured higher low long, right? One of these, one of these, one of these. Would love that. Now, the QQQ doesn't have to do that. If the QQQ says, no, sir, I'm going over 600, I'm going to rock it through 600 today, I'm going to hold it as a new low, we're going to 603, and we're leaving behind that gap fill. But then, you just have to be, as a trader, you got to understand if that happens and this gaps and goes, then you have to understand that you are leaving behind that gap. And at some point in the future, you're likely to see it get filled. The same way, if you guys remember, the same way our gap fill that we were sort of stalking last week got filled, right? Remember this gap fill in the Qs we were watching? It got filled, right? So if we just run away with it today, what do we say, right? No good deed goes unpunished. If this thing just rips today and you leave behind this gap, then at some point in the future, you're probably going to see that get filled. So no good deed goes unpunished. Remember that. There's nothing wrong with riding it higher. There's nothing wrong with riding it higher if that's what the momentum says. But at some point, you're going to have to remember that that gap is looming. Okay? Just got to keep that in the back of your head. All right. IWM. What a daily 20 SMA hold. My goodness. What's the best long for me today? It's very clear. This would be an incredible pullback long on the IWM today. Right here. 241. If we can, you just reclaim this high. You just reclaim this high. You just reclaim this low. If you could see this and this, that would be so clean today. Would love it. Not sure we'll get it, right? Because we are in full momentum mode right now. We'll see. 241 pullback long would be definitely something I'd be watching today. Daily 20 SMA held like a boss at our 238 demand. Nice pop through this 241 high. Give me that. Give me that, right? That would be awesome. If we don't get it, this thing might just run right to the 245, 246, right? And we might find ourselves here to end the day. But this would be the sick entry. Okay. Last but not least, the SMH. No gap fill for this one, right? So we are on a gap and go on this one, my friends, right? Here you go. Big gap on the SMH. No signs of it being filled. The SMH held 318 ridiculously well to end last week. I mean, nuts. 318, little bit of a drop below it, quickly bought back above it. 318 Friday low a day, right at this high. What a hold on the SMH. The SMH is definitely starting to just find some crazy strength again. And there are semiconductors that are there's semiconductors that are possibly giving you a layup again. Because this is ridiculous strength on the SMH. The SMH is at all-time highs. Broadcom has just pulled back like 4% from the highs. What is this? Actually, it might be more than 4%. Yeah, whoa, what am I? I'm crazy. That's 10%. Broadcom, 10% off the highs. SMH at all-time highs. That's interesting. Nvidia, consolidating above the daily 20. SMH at all-time highs. AMD has been in a consolidation for weeks. SMH at all-time highs. Interesting stuff. MRVL, holding back above its daily 200 SMA. SMH at all-time highs. Is there a pending move on these equities in the SMH? ASML is, I believe, one of the largest drivers here. TSM just gave you a pullback as well. I'm not sure the weight. Let me see what is driving this SMH higher. Is it ASML? Is ASML in the SMH? Let me double check here. I could be wrong. Let me double check. SMH, where are your holdings? Okay, it is ASML and Intel. Yeah, okay. Here's your ASML, or here's your SMH holdings right here. Nvidia 18%, TSM 10%, Broadcom 8%, Intel 5%, ASML 5%, AMAT 5%, Lam Research 5%, Micron 4%, AMD 4%, Qualcomm 4%, Texas Instruments, NXPI, MRVL. So those are your big ones. So this has been running hot. I mean, this thing is running rampant, like a Halo killing spree. I mean, that's, what is it? It's not running rampant. It's running. Is it running rampant? What is that? What is that kill streak? Someone remember it? Running. Killing spree. Running. What is it? Damn it! Now I'm interested. What is it? Someone, please. ASML. That thing's been running. MU has been starting to run a little bit, right? Running riot. That's what it is. Running riot. That's right. Thank you. Intel has been hot, but these three, I mean, this one's just pulled back 10%, right? This one's been pulling back a little bit. Nvidia's been sort of quiet. Intel's been hot. ASML's been hot. Micron's starting to heat up. AMD's been quiet, right? So, something there to watch, right? Something there to pay attention to in my eyes. This thing is very strong. And if high tide rises all boats, right? If high tide rises all boats, if that's what you believe in, which I would typically believe in, then Nvidia should be something to watch today over 180. AMD should continue to be something to watch if it can get over 164.50. Broadcom should be absolutely something to watch if it starts to, get some momentum off this daily 20 SMA, right? Something to pay attention to. These are the things that you want to start to try to find opportunities on, right? These are those little opportunities that you don't find too often, but could be something to pay attention to. Now, of course, if the market tanks, right? If the market tanks and this rejects this high, right? And the SMH follows, then yeah, it's, that idea sort of goes away. But for now, it's something to be interested in. So SMH, let's see if it holds over that 323 today. That's a previous major high that it is now holding this morning. If it holds this, you're going higher. So keep an eye on that, 323. If you fail below that, 318, thank you guys. Rising tide lifts all boats. Thank you. Not high tide. Well, high tide does as well, so this isn't high tide right now. SMH, high tide. Let's see. Anyways, let's continue. 8:30. halfway through. Press that like button for me. We got 2,700 people here, 900 likes. I'm going to need some more likes here. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you could, I'd appreciate that. EA shareholders will get $2.10 per share. Hell yeah. Alright, sweet. So, yeah, don't trade EA today. It's not going to go over 2.10. At least, I don't think it would. I mean, I would be shocked if it does. If this is getting bought out at 2.10, then there's no reason for it to go over 2.10. Is there a trade into 2.10? I don't know. I've never traded so just I don't know. I've never traded a buyout after it's been bought, after it plans to get bought out. So, will this just go to 2.10? I mean, I don't see how that would be too easy of an arbitrage opportunity. Unless this is just a wild arbitrage opportunity. If it's getting bought out at 2.10, it should probably go to 2.10. But I couldn't tell you. You know, that's on you. Just be cautious on that. But you just got an alert that says EA shareholders will get $2.10 per share in deal to take company private. So that's great. I'm an EA shareholder. That's a great little EA day. Not too many shares, but anyways, what were we doing? Tesla. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Here we go, Tesla. So Tesla, I mean, what a ridiculous hold of this zone again. If you guys have been coming to this live stream, you know that we've had this fat yellow line on our charts for about 2 weeks now. And that fat yellow line that's running across my chart right there is 414.50. And that is the 2021 all-time high. That is right here. That's the exact high. 414.50 is the exact high of 2021. It is no coincidence that that is the exact level that has held for the last 2 weeks. That is crazy. Look at this. Right there, right there, right there, right there, right. Just keeps bouncing off that spot. That is very bullish. That it keeps holding above a 2021 all-time high. That's very bullish. 414.50. Now, you can see on Friday what a crazy move higher, breaking and retesting multiple levels yet on Friday. And today, it's all about 441. If you can hold above this high, hold above 441, maintain above that high right here at 441, then I think Tesla goes higher. You have to break over 445. That is clearly the rejection high to be careful of here, 445. So the zone to be watching out and be careful of is 445 to 441. If you can get above 445, I'd say you're going to 450 today. If you get under 441, you're pulling back to 435, which could be a nice pullback. All right, that could be a nice retracement. 435, 430, these are great retracements if you get them. I'd be watching them. 445, you break that, you're going to 450. Over 450, there is nothing until this high at 456. Or sorry, yeah, 456, 457. And then above that, 465. So the next high that I'd be watching is this daily high right here. Right. Let me get my snap back on. That is this daily high right there at 456.36 to this daily low at 457.51. That is your next target. Over 450, you're going to 456 in my eyes. Over 457.50, you're going right here to 465. So that's what I'm watching. This could be a very nice trade today. I would watch 445. If you hold above 445, I would definitely be, I definitely consider the long to 450. I'm actually just going to put this, I'm going to change this a little bit here. I sort of just want to put it, yeah, I want to keep it at 445 because I would definitely be intrigued by a long over 445 today. There's no doubt. Over 445, I think you have about 5 points to at least take a little scalp on today. Something I'll watch. Over 445 into the 450, I think is an area of opportunity. So I'll watch over that into this. If you get over 450, then absolutely back into the 456.36 spot is what I'd be watching. So yeah, some nice things to watch on Tesla today. Definitely has the heat behind it, that's for sure. Nvidia Got to get over 180 today. Really, for me, it's 180.82. This zone right here, if we can clear that out and the SMH stays strong, I would be interested. Nvidia holding the daily 20 very nicely. MRVL, definitely a watch today for me, over 85.36. You are holding above the daily 200 SMA. Over this 85.36 spot, you have pretty much nothing. Look at this. Over this 85.36, you have pretty much nothing to 92. I would be watching 85.36 on MRVL. Broadcom, very interesting pullback to the major demand. However, Broadcom needs to clear out this 338, 340 zone for me. I'm actually going to put this between these two zones. This is a little bit of a cautionary zone for me on Broadcom. I can very clearly see some previous lows and some major rejections. You also have the daily 20 SMA that is keeping it lower. So I'm going to need one of these, right? Give me one of these little higher low reclaim ripper type moves. That's what I'm going to be looking for on Broadcom to see if it starts to spice up a little bit. I need it to spice up. I can't buy it yet. I need to see something happen there. AMD, another one that I'm keeping an eye out, but it's still not going anywhere. It's got to get over 164.50. Is it start to wake up? Maybe. Or does it start to wake up? That's the right verb there. Is that a verb? I don't know. Anyways, 980 on ASML. Over that, there is a gap to fill at 1060. I'm watching ASML over 980. That's another semiconductor to keep an eye out for. TSM, good pullback to that 271. If it can get over 277, that is very interesting on a little retest, break, retest, consolidation, reclaim, ripper, right? If we can get a hold over 277, that's something I'm watching. If you fail under 271, this is going lower. If you fail under 271, this is going lower to 263. All right. Those are some of the semis I'm watching. Let's run through a few individual equities that I am definitely paying attention to today. Number one is going to be Amazon. Amazon is a very interesting read here, my friends. We talked about this last week. We talked about how every single time over the last, give or take 5 months, you have held the daily 200 SMA on Amazon. 200 SMA, 200 SMA, 200 SMA, 200 SMA. Look where you're at, 200 SMA. Every single time, this has ran about 8%. This is 13%. This is 8%. Do you run another 8% to the upside here off the 200 SMA? Something to watch, right? Something to watch. That's something I would be watching. So, that is very interesting to me today. Amazon over that 100 SMA, bouncing off the 200 SMA, which is down here. If Amazon can build a low above Thursdays and Fridays highs, that's Thursday high, that's Friday high. If we can build above that, right, then I think you're going to 225. This is one of my top watches today on a comeback. This is definitely one of my top watches on a comeback. Weekly chart, nice big pullback back to some major key demands. If I clean this up, I'll actually show you the weekly chart pullback that I'm watching. It's right in between here. Right, look at this. Right in here. See this? 215, 216 area. You have previous high, previous low, previous highs, previous lows, and there's your low again. So I'm interested to see if this wants to build back higher. Let's see. Market has to correlate. Market has to look good for me to go for it. But, yeah, historically, buying it off the 200 has been a very good idea. I would be paying attention to this one. Google, another interesting one. Google, very clear pullback to the daily 20. Very clear pullback to our 242 demand. You guys know that we were hawking this pullback to 242 for quite some time after this straight up move. Straight up, straight down. That's very clean. Pull back to these previous highs, 242, over 251. Break and retest over 251 would be very interesting on Google. That would be sick. Or rejection at 251, we're going lower, right? Both sides are interesting. 251's the key spot. Apple, really not much on Apple today, just sort of stuck in this channel. Not interested today on it as much. Palantir, still consolidation, but very bullish consolidation in my opinion. Palantir is doing the same thing it did before its last breakout, right? Palantir is basically doing a time correction. Last time Palantir had a breakout, it stayed sideways, the daily 20 caught up, and when it caught up, it rocketed. What are we doing now? Palantir broke out. It's consolidating. I think you're waiting for this daily 20 SMA to catch up. Once it catches up, rock it, right? Same sort of concept. However, it could happen before. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. But right now, I'm not interested in trading it in this zone, but I would be very much paying attention to what it does in this zone. This is a previous high holding as lows. That is the same thing that happened here and here, right? Structure 1 highs into structure 2 lows. Structure 2 highs into structure 3 lows, right? You are structuring higher. So this is still very interesting consolidation. Over 185, this thing gets the juice. Aquo, interesting. Oh, man. Aquo's already going for it. Damn. Okay, Aquo, good pullback on Aquo. Is it time to start flipping for the pullback long? That's something I am definitely watching very closely here. Aquo, pull back to this 108, 110 zone. Look at what's happening here at this level. You got a nice pullback. You're starting to curl back higher here. Over 123.72, I think you can get the juice. I would be watching this 123.72 spot. If you can get above that, I think you go 132, and maybe you heat up again towards 142. Maybe this thing gets hot again. 20 SMA is catching up, which is great. 98 to 100 would be like the A++ spot to watch if we can get that. But Aquo, definitely something to pay attention to. Meta, another pullback long candidate, right? If this market does go back to the highs, look at Meta, 737, 740. This is a major 2025, early 2025, February of this year, double top high in the weekly chart. That double top high in the weekly chart basically sent Meta into a death spiral, right? I mean, look at this thing. From that point, you went straight down of a very large amount. You went down around 35% on Meta from 737 to 740 highs. What is the level that's holding right now? 737 to 740 is the exact level that's trying to hold. So, that's interesting. If we hold above that, and that turns into a new low, and the sellers fail to break this down, and you reclaim this 760 spot, and you reclaim the daily 20, that would be a very interesting pushback higher. Watching that, but equally as cautious of a rejection at 760. You need a reclaim. Coinbase, not interesting today. I know everyone's staring at a gap up on Coinbase MSTR, and they're losing their minds. What about Coinbase? What about MSTR? It's not interesting. Why? You're still under some major supply here, right? 330 daily 50. This could be a smackdown. I would not be trading Coinbase upside until you clear out 330 and the daily 50. Maybe a reclaim of the daily 20. You get a little bit of juice back towards that level, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. MSTR, I'm definitely not a fan of to the upside today. There is a clear as day rejection here. Look at this. Previous, just like an entire month of lows here at 320. Look at the level that's rejecting this morning, 320. That's not interesting at all. If you get back over 320, maybe there's some interest, but guess what? You're right back into the daily 20. Not loving that. Not loving that. Is Tesla going? Oh, shit. Here it goes. Oh, boy. Yeah, Tesla's going to be a day. It's going to be a Tesla day here. Let's see what happens. Baba. I actually sort of like this. And, of course, in classic fashion, Baba does its move in the after hours, but that's, to be expected. It trades on the Hang Seng. And I would assume, most of its moves happen in the overnight session as during the Asian market. 170. This was, remember this, guys? What was our pullback long on Baba? It was 170. Look what we got on Friday. 170. Look what happened here. 170 break and retest. Look at the 4-hour chart on this thing, guys. This is really starting to structure quite nice. 170 previous high. Breakout. Everyone's chasing the shit out of it. It pulls back to 170. That's the long spot, right? It's just classic break and retest here. This is beautiful. So, what am I watching today? Look at this reclaim over 176. Look at this right here. 176, 176, 176. Look at that reclaim over 176. If you can turn 176 into new lows back above these highs, that would be the move to 182 I would be watching for. Deeper pullbacks to 173 are also very interesting as well. I like this watch today. CrowdStrike over 490. After a pullback hold, this 470 looks pretty good. Watch this 490 crowd strike. I like that. Reddit, I would look for Reddit to reclaim 251, 250 if we can get that. That would be very interesting. That would be a reclaim back above these major lows right here. Look at this. If you reclaim that, that would be very interesting. I have my alert set there. And finally, APP. Right here. APP is on an absolute moon mission. And this is the area that I'd be looking for. 660 to 670. Pull back to this high here. This high here. This high here. Give me one of these. Give me one of these. Right? And give me one of these right here. That would be awesome. 660, 670. You can see I have my alert set. Waiting to see if that hits today. Okay? So top watches of the day is going to be to see if Broadcom catches a little bit of steam with the SMH. That's going to be something I'm sneakily watching. Tesla's absolutely a top watch over 445. Obviously that thing's starting to run. Google over that 251, definitely something I'm keeping eyes out for. Palantir, I like that over 185. We'll see if we can get it. MRVL over that 85.36 spot, definitely interesting there. Baba, one of the top watches today as well on that reclaim over 176. I do like that quite a bit. And everything else, just going to have to wait for some key levels to hit. ASML over 980. APP back to 660. What else we got here? CrowdStrike over 490. Meta. Keep an eye on that weekly chart, right? See if that thing starts to catch a bid over that 760 spot. Aqua, let's see what happens at that 123, sorry. And then the Amazon. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of nice little pullbacks to be watching, guys. Some things to start to pay attention to, man. On these pullbacks on some of these equities. Could create some really nice opportunity. Intel, same as Friday. We had the same exact read on Friday, guys. Guys, nothing changes if levels don't hit. I want you guys to remember that. I get asked about the same stock on a daily basis, and when it does nothing, right? Look at Intel. What has changed? Nothing. This is the pullback, 33. I'm telling you the same thing. If Intel does this today, what am I going to tell you tomorrow? This. If Intel does this for 6 months, what am I going to tell you? This. Nothing changes. It's got to pull back to the retest for me. That's how I trade. It needs to come back to a key level. All right, that's all I got. If you guys could, please press that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to come hang out with us in the trading community, the Insiders Trading Community, check it out down below. I hope you have a fantastic trading day. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Peace and love.